This is Zobal, and this is my Guardian Guide for the Heart of Thorns expansion for PVE. After much mediocrity and complaints, Dragon Hunter finally became good. If your group can keep up Cripple for a decent amount of time, and you have a free slot to take a trap, it can do quite a bit of damage. It is a bit more annoying because the virtues all have cast times, and the bow is better, so you'll be losing the mace block. So here's a chart of the DPS that you'll be doing in a group setting with all the buffs against a single target. For Dragon Hunter builds, I only assume that you have the trap. Taking Bane Signet would further increase your damage, and it's nice that you can have a few things that you can throw in there to add damage if you don't need any utilities at all. For builds without Dragon Hunter, I use Bane Signet, and for Kandi, I used only Purging Flames. You can see you do quite a bit more damage with Dragon Hunter builds. I do assume that you have 100% cripple uptime that's coming from other sources than you, since you'll be spamming F1. This is pretty doable with an NG in your group. If your group barely has any cripple, you just don't want to hit F1 at all. You'll still be doing more damage than builds without Dragon Hunter. Pretty much every scenario I looked at, Dragon Hunter is going to be better. It's not even worth really using Scepter anymore. Scepter's really not that great given the Dragon Hunter spread. It'll have about the same amount of damage as Greatsword Bow, but you have the ability with the Greatsword to whirl inside the boss's hitbox, which should be easy since it'll be a large target. You can see that bow is quite a bit better than mace as well, so I would really only use mace if you really need blocks. And here are hammer builds I separated out so I could just show more. Hammer builds no longer catch up the greatsword builds and out DPS them over an extended period of time. Mace and bow are closer in damage than they are with greatsword though, so that's pretty nice. You're using these builds because you want more support for yourself to stay alive, and you'll get the blocks without sacrificing much or any DPS. Here's Solo Guardian DPS. It's really the only time Scepter is going to be useful anymore against large hitbox target. Unlike group setting, Hammer still does catch up the Greatsword. This is because of the might that you get from the honor line, since you won't be capping out at 25 might. And here's the DPS that you're going to do against trash mobs. You can see the Dragon Hunter builds do quite a bit more. This is because of the trap. It's pretty OP. You can also see that bow outdoes mace as well. This is because of True Shot. Mace has nothing but the symbol because Zealot's Fire does not cleave. For Greatsword builds, you want to run Zeal, Virtues, Dragon Hunter. For Zeal, Fiery Wrath, Zealous Blade, Symbolic Avenger, pretty much what you're going to take all the time. Virtues, you want to run Master Consecrations when you really need it. Unscathed Contender when you don't. You want Supreme Justice. Only take Absolute Resolution if you absolutely need it. A lot of Kandis don't really make a difference, but if they do, go ahead and take it. And Permeating Wrath is pretty good with this build since if you're playing solo or you're in groups that aren't reliably going to keep up cripple, you're not going to be using F1, so this is going to be doing more damage. If you really want in that scenario and you're playing in a group without cripple and hitting F1, you can swap them back and forth. This one for boss, this one for trash. This helps your group a little bit. Helps keep up scholar buffs on your group as well. Not bad. If you're not lazy, go ahead and do that. Indomitable Courage, you should be using this if you need just a little bit of stability. That means you won't need to take a stability utility. That means you can take more defensive utilities and offensive utilities instead. Or if you need tons and tons of stability, take it as well. For Dragon Hunter, you now gain access to bow, and your traits get pretty wonky. They have cast times, which makes resolve and courage a bit annoying. You want to take Piercing Light, reduces recharge of your traps by 20%. Makes Procession of Blades on a 16 cooldown, which is pretty damn good. This does tons of damage. Also dazes, so it helps with break bars. This is going to help if you are not spamming F1. Zealot's Aggression, you'll take this and it'll give you 10% damage for cripple foes. It also do cripple if you're not spamming F1. Pure of Sight, glad they changed this one. This really made Dragon Hunter worth taking. You do 7% damage to foes when you're in melee range, and if you're not in melee range you do 13, but you should pretty much always be in melee range. And Big Game Hunter, this is why you're hoping somebody else is in your group to spam F1, because you won't be able to do it yourself if you're doing it. So then you'll get 10% and another 10%. You'll also be doing more Vuln, so it's pretty nice. Hopefully there will be somebody spamming Cripple, so you can use this and get more damage and do a bit more Vuln as well. For Hammer, you want to run Zeal, Honor, Dragon Hunter. Dragon Hunter is going to be the same setup as Greatsword. Zeal, same as well, except for Zealous Blade, you want to swap it to Kindled Zeal, since we're not going to be using a Greatsword. Honor, you want to Invigorated Bulwark. If you really want to use the bow, just use Protective Reviver. Though the bow is slightly stronger, you're using Hammer because you want more support and more survival for yourself. So yeah, I would just stick with Mace. Powering Might, Rid of Persistence. You can go more supportive and take Virtues instead of Dragon Hunter, but the damage is way too big now. I wouldn't recommend it. It wasn't too terrible before when you took Virtues instead of Radiance. For gear, since you won't have Radiance anymore, you'll need a bit more precision. So you want all Berserker gear except your accessories be Assassin. You get these for completing dungeons, and the dungeons you need are Ra and CM. Unfortunately, I have not completed CM, so I don't have that. You can go even further and get about 5 more DPS higher and get 1 Assassin's weapon, but you can see, yeah, screw that. Scholar runes are still going to be your best choice. Flame Region runes are your next best and possibly really good for raids. I would still stick with Power Infusions. They keep changing things back and forth. Power will always be useful to you. You also want 1 Toughness Trinket to help keep aggro on Fractals. If nobody else has any added toughness, that should be enough. For weapons, you should be mainly using Greatsword. You want a bow and swap. Unless you need blocks, you want to use Mace and Torch. If you need lots and lots of blocks, go ahead and use Focus. And for Hammer, if you want to use Hammer, go ahead and use Hammer. You want a Mace and Torch on swap, or possibly a Focus as well. You want to focus still just for running into a fight, using it first, then swapping back to bow or Mace Torch. And you want Scepter if you're soloing stuff that has large hitboxes. You use Staff for running or niche things. Sword for blinking. Shouldn't really use it for fighting at all. It's crap. Shield, it's not worth using when you fight. It's great for utility when you're running through trash though, so it's worth having for that situation. For sigils, you want Force and Air for day, and Night and Force for night. For consumables, you want bowls of seaweed salad if you're really pushing for records. If not, use truffle steak. For solo, you want fried golden dumplings. For utility, you want slaying potions. If those don't apply, use toxic sharpening stones. If those don't apply in fractals, then you can go ahead and use scale venom. And you can use ogre pet whistles, and hopefully you'll get a bear. But of course, the troll gets trolled, and I get a hawk-eyed griffin. For utilities, you want to run a similar setup, except for Bane Signet, you want to take Procession of Blades. It's more damage, more burst. And a good thing about Dragon Hunter is that if you don't need to take much support, you'll have more damage utilities that you can take instead of just Bane. So if you have a second free slot, just take Bane Signet. If your group's struggling with Vuln, I would not really use Light's Judgment unless you're using it for trash, since they don't take very long to kill, or very short boss fights. The reason being is because it's going to replace all the higher duration Vuln that your group's doing. So after the trap is done, you're going to be left with very little Vuln. Dragon's Maul is situationally good. You can use it if the slow will benefit you. Otherwise, just stick with Feel My Wrath or Renewed Focus when you really need those blocks. So all your bow skills have cleave on it, which makes it nice so you don't have to swap around for trash. True Shot, it does a lot of damage. It does root you though. You want to use it immediately after you swap to bow again, so you can get 3 of them in before you have to swap back. Deflecting Shot is a DPS gain. It is a bit annoying to use though. You'll want to use it only if you aren't reflecting projectiles. If you are, then I wouldn't bother. But it does blind things. It does do more damage if you don't have reflex up and you destroy projectiles, so it's situationally good. Symbol of Energy, you'll want to plan to use this if your trap is coming off cooldown while you're in bow. You'll want to use trap first and then symbol, since there is some delay to the trap. So all of the trap hits will still get procced in the symbol for Symbolic Avenger, but this means that you used it before symbol, so that means you'll have more attacks after symbol that'll get Symbolic Avenger added on. And Hunter's Ward, it's very immersive, but it's not a DPS gain. If your trap is not coming off cooldown while you're in the swap, you should save symbol right before True Shot comes up again for the 3rd time, right before you're going to swap. So you can just do symbol, then True Shot, then swap back to Greatsword, so you'll get Symbolic Avenger from using the symbol. Also, you can see that the trap is still lingering, which means if NPCs become hostile, you should go ahead and run in and just use the trap while they're still green. That means your trap will be off cooldown quicker and you'll be doing more damage to them. I haven't really looked in the County Guard since it's not going to be better than Zerker. If there are any changes to that, I'll probably make another guide if it's worthwhile. But that's it for my guide. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
That feels good. I feel strong. Go ahead, hit me. Refreshing. Go ahead, hit me. Refreshing. Refreshing. Strong. Refreshing. Armored up. Refreshing. Refreshing. Strong. Armored up. Feel my wrath.